Well, hello, everybody. I hope you've had a great week. I hope your holidays were fantastic. And your new year has started off with a bang. I'm going to give you a few minutes to log on and a few minutes to share while I get myself together, because you know it takes me a little minute to get to my page and then to share it. So I want you to do the same. Call your friends, tell them to log on. We're going to have a fantastic conversation tonight. But then I say that every time, right? And every time we do have a fantastic conversation, because I have great guests, and the bar keeps getting higher and higher and higher. And let me tell you, tonight is no different. So I'm gonna give us like 1 or 2 seconds to well, give me a minute. So go ahead and log on, and I am going to do the same and share. Hey, Janice, how are you? Girl, you Johnny on the spot, as my mama would say. I don't think she said it like that. Johnny on the spot, something like that. How are you doing? I hope everything is well. Hope the babies are good. We're going to give it a couple of more minutes, and it's going to be an exciting conversation. He told me that there were no subjects that I couldn't talk about, so we're going to talk about everything. We're going to try to squeeze everything within an hour. So what I would say to you all is go ahead, let me know your questions, because we're going to hit the floor running. And let's see, can I share this? Why can I never share this on my phone? I don't know. It will not let me share. But anyway, Danielle, if you would, please share this on the other Facebook page, because it's not letting me do it. So, well, let's go ahead and get started. I am so honored. I feel like, I just feel so... First of all, I feel like I'm a little old with this conversation, because my guest today, he has done so much in such a small amount of time. I'm like, feels like I'm behind the 8 ball or something, because this young fella has made waves like you would not believe. I am so excited tonight to have Ralph Jones Jr. on with me tonight. He is a mover and a shaker when it comes to politics, things related to politics. You wait till I tell you who he's been supporting and what he's been doing. It's going to blow your mind, because when I was reading, I was like, oh, really? You just graduated from college. How'd you get all that done? So we're going to talk about it tonight. But first, Raph, I want to say welcome and thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to chat with you and your viewers, and looking forward to a fun conversation.
Oh, man, it's going to be good. You're probably going to have to tell me, calm down. It's okay. Just calm down and relax. Just breathe. You're probably going to have to do some grounding work with me. But I'm going to try to stay calm, because one of my viewers said, you need to relax because you get too excited. You're more excited than the people. So I'm going to try to do that. But first of all, I want to let you all know that my name is Sonya. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I am the transition coach. I talk about everything that relates to transition, whether you're transitioning from high school to college, or from college to the real world, whether you are transitioning from being single to married, or married and divorced, or whether you're dealing with the loss of a loved one, anything that's related to transition, that's what I focus on. We meet generally every Thursday, but this year we're going to do something a little different. We're going to meet every other Thursday. I've already planned out the year. It's going to be exciting, except for this coming Monday at 2:00. We're going to have a conversation on Facebook Live and probably Clubhouse, if I can figure out how to maneuver that. We're going to be talking on this coming Monday about how do you have a conversation with your children about what's going on in our country right now. What does it mean to be impeached? What does it mean when people invade the Congress? So we're going to talk about that and help your kids, help you navigate the conversation with your kids. I'm going to have with me assistant principal Carla Clark. She's a principal in the local area, assistant principal in the local area. So we're going to talk honestly and openly about ways that we can help our kids understand what's going on in our country. But for tonight, again, I am excited to have Ralph. But Ralph, before we get into our conversation, I want to ask you, how are you navigating the pandemic?
You know, I think I have navigated it as well as anyone else could. Last year certainly wasn't what anyone anticipated, and I'm just hanging in there like you. How about you? How's it been?
Oh, well, you know what? I like to say that I'm an introvert, but this has been a little much. I mean,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a lot. And I've gone from the living room to my bedroom to the office, back to the living room, back to it's just been the kitchen. I've been to the kitchen too much because I've gained weight. So so it's obvious I've been to the kitchen too much and not outside enough. But I'm grateful to still be here. I'm grateful to not have had COVID at all. I've been tested a couple of times, which I hate. But I am very thankful. Hey, Pastor Carla, how are you? Glad you're on. Hey, Yolanda, glad you all are on. So tonight, Ralph, I gotta ask you, how do you go from Douglas High School in Atlanta to being a mover and a shaker in the things of politics?
Well, you know, Sonya, I don't think that it's a stretch of a path. I mean, when you look at the history of Frederick Douglass High School and the leaders, especially in the city of Atlanta and Metro Atlanta leaders that have come out of Frederick Douglass High School, right now, looking just in city of Atlanta politics. Yeah, shout out to Doug, 225 certified. You look in Metro Atlanta politics alone, and right now, sitting council member at large, Michael Julian Bond, Frederick Douglass High School graduate. Our mayor, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, Frederick Douglass High School graduate. The newly elected sheriff of Fulton County, Sheriff Pat Labatt, a Frederick Douglass High School graduate.
Wow, okay.
You know, Frederick Douglass High School has a long history of producing leaders and movers in the city of Atlanta. And I'm proud to be a part of that tradition and elect folks from that tradition.
Wow, that's amazing. Do you know Donald Prather? He says that you were called earlier on in life. Come on, Donald, we're glad to see you tonight.
Dr. Prather.
Yes.
I was maybe 2-3 years old. So, you know, again, those Atlanta ties, those APS ties. My mother was a teacher at Bethune Elementary School on Northside Drive, which is no longer open. But there she worked alongside Dr. Prather. He was then a school counselor. And a fun fact, Dr. Prather actually created a lot of the early opportunities for me to speak and have my voice be heard at a young age. We did a lot of work together then, and it definitely set the stage for the work that I do now.
Wow, that's amazing. Hey, I remember because of Donald, I went to Bethune to do a career day. I think I went there a couple of years and I did a career day. It was a lot of fun. Donna is very special. So now everybody knows that he went to Doug. So did you know that he went to Florida A&M too? I bet you didn't know that, huh? How about that? So you graduated in I'm sorry, wrong. That's me. You graduated in 2014, I think.
I actually did not graduate from Douglass. Not Douglass, from
Florida A&M.
Yeah, I attended Florida A&M from 2010 to 2012.
Okay.
And I was a computer engineering major. Yes, HBCUs.
Yes.
FAMU actually gave me a platform that allowed me to do this work. And because of the way that they chose to market me as a young rattler on the Hill, I was offered an internship with Lockheed Martin, and then Afterward, I ended up working with Apple in the summer following my sophomore year, after which they offered me a full-time position at the company, and I transitioned away without
Wow.
graduating. So graduating from from college and finishing undergrad has been on my list of things to do for about 8 years now, and I'm really, really hoping that I can get that done soon.
Wow. So you have been moving like you know that did you see Hamilton when they says that when Hamilton was writing, they said you're writing like you're running out of time. You've just been moving like you're running out of time, baby, and you're just getting started. Donald says that he was the youngest student at FAMU on a full ride. Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations on that, and congratulations to your parents. For whoever raised you. Somebody has done their work, honey. They've done an amazing job. And I don't even know you that well, and I feel like you're just one of my nephews. You are just an amazing young man. I want to say that right off the bat. So how did you go? Tell me about what happened at FAMU to make you go from computer engineering, that was your major, to communication.
Sure. So the work that I did at FAMU was, in fact, computer engineering centered, and the opportunities that I had early on were computer engineering opportunities, but they were marketed through the Florida A&M University Office of Communications and Media Relations. And so at a very young age, I was 16 at the time, I got to sit in a media relations office and I got to watch them pitch my story to reporters. I sat with the director of communications as she staffed me for interviews. And I got to see talking points drafted, not knowing that I was getting a first row seat that would eventually be my career path. After my time at Apple, I launched a consulting firm. I was incredibly fortunate to be among the first Apple coders to learn the Swift programming language. And as a result, I was able to launch a successful firm in Atlanta doing web development and software development. And that really paved the way for my foray into politics. It was 2016. I was a consultant, and we all witnessed this rise of white nationalism across the country, culminating in the election of now President Donald Trump. And at that moment, I knew that what I was doing was not enough to move the needle in the direction of progress, to stand on the right side of history over what I believe would be 4 consequential years for our nation and our communities. And I made a pact with myself at that time to do everything that I could to stand on the right side of history at this time.
Wow.
And for me, that started with sending emails to House reps and to folks who I knew were doing the work in the city of Atlanta and in the metro area, and letting them know that I am a writer, I'm a speaker, I have these digital skills, and so however I can help you, I'm happy to. And the first real race that I worked on was actually Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms' mayoral run in 2017. And that race was particularly important to me because I tell everyone my story wouldn't be possible growing up anywhere but Atlanta. I don't see the life that I've had the opportunity to be afforded happen anywhere else.
So before you tell us the story that about Mayor Bottoms, can you go back and tell us about your support system as you were navigating, trying to find your way, trying to, figure out, okay, I was in the school for this. No, but I think I need to go this way. Tell me a little bit about your support system, as I like to call it, your village, as you were trying to navigate your way as a young Black man.
Sure. I will say that I've been incredibly fortunate to come of age and to grow up in the city of Atlanta, and to be supported by the strong Black communities and tradition of the Metro Atlanta area. That has really guided so much of not just how I see myself, but how I see the world. I learned later in life, going to Tallahassee and traveling abroad, that my experiences are not the norm. That there are kids that don't grow up with Black teachers and Black doctors and Black lawyers and a Black mayor. And, you know, I learned by nature of my environment at a very early age that anything I wanted to do, I could. And from the teachers who truly built me, both in private schools and at Douglas later in high school, and shaped my understanding of the written word and our political processes, to the spiritual formation that I received at church, growing up in Ben Hill United Methodist Church, and in Black churches across Metro Atlanta. I can honestly say that I was given everything that I needed to succeed. And for me, it was just having the audacity to challenge the notion that impossible existed. And I haven't found something yet that I haven't been able to do.
Wow. So. Wow. Well, what would you tell a young person, a young Black male, about him finding his place, or finding his niche, or finding his purpose? What would you tell a young Black person about that?
Something along the lines of, there's no room that you don't belong in. And there's no space that you're not allowed to occupy. Be a yardstick of excellence. Yeah, I think that's
wow. Wow. Be a yardstick of excellence. Oh my God.
Be intentional.
Wow. Be intentional. Wow. You sound so much the wisdom that's coming out of your mouth is it's beyond your age. Donald, you're right. That is good. That is very good. Anika says, boys learn identity through healthy and positive mentor relationships, and even more than girls. And it sounds like you've had some great mentors in your life. You've come across some great people in your life. And just, I remember growing up years and years ago when I was in school, even at South Carolina State. I noticed the difference between South Carolina State and Augusta College. South Carolina State is a HBCU. Augusta College is a predominantly white college. And the way that you are treated, a way that you're seen, and I was treated at those two schools are so different. At South Carolina State, they were sort of like an extension of your family. Your mama didn't send you here to play. Go to class. What are you doing? What's wrong with you? I mean, they talk to you like you were part of the family. At Augusta College, you flunk. Next. Yep. So it was just so much difference. And even I've noticed, even sometimes in churches, I've been to different places, and the feel is just different. It just when you go to some churches, you just feel like you belong. You like you at home. And I've been to Ben Hill a couple of times, and I know several people that go to Ben Hill. It's just that feeling. It's amazing. It's amazing. Be a yardstick of excellence. I'm gonna have to write that down somewhere. Be a yard. That is amazing. Wow. So, when I was looking at your profile, I was looking at the fact that you have done more in less than 10 years, and some people do in their entire lives. I was thinking to myself, dang, Sonya, what you been doing? Because you have
not to burn out too quickly.
Yeah, well, don't burn out too quickly. But you know what? You got tons of energy. Omar Finley gave a website for listeningtreebooks.com. Oh, thank you for sharing, Omar. But you have done so much. Let me say this. How did you get into the political arena? I think you were going that way when you were talking a little bit about Mayor Bottoms.
Yeah, so I met Mayor Bottoms initially through my consulting firm. She was then the executive director of the City of Atlanta and Fulton County Recreation Authority, and I handle the Rec Authority's digital rebrand when they sold Turner Field and rebranded the Phillips Arena to State Farm and everything that went along with all of that. And so when she resigned from that position to run for mayor of Atlanta, she brought me along with her on her team. And that team was full of folks who didn't have a lot of political experience, but that had a lot of heart and believed in what our city could become. And I was just really fortunate to have someone in my corner who believed in me and saw what I could do. And I was grateful that following our campaign, she offered for me to join her administration as public information officer in the mayor's office of communications. And, in the state of Georgia, arguably the mayor of Atlanta is the most powerful and prominent Democrat in our state, which once it was clear that I had done good work under her, a lot of the opportunities you saw on the resume started to open up. That was kind of the cosign of approval that a lot of people, I guess, felt they needed to hire someone who was so new to the game.
So you know what? That points out to another thing. Relationships are so important.
Yes.
They are vital. It's important to know some stuff, but it's important to know some people.
Yes.
And to have some good relationships.
And never burn a bridge.
Yes, never burn a bridge. Somebody said the Listening Tree has a young entrepreneurs program for young people coming up like Ralph. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, Listening Tree, thank you for putting that in.
Nice.
Yeah, Anika says the Listening Tree has done so much for young Black minds in realizing their place and power through the vehicle of literacy. Thank you, Omar. That is fantastic. Positive relationships are key. So now let's just get down to the nitty gritty. Let's just go on and talk about it, because I got to talk about it. You worked with our newly elected senator. How in the world did you get that opportunity to do that for the right reverend?
Again, really, really blessed to have that opportunity. And it came about by relationships. I worked with our state house rep for most of the city of Atlanta, Park Cannon, who represents District 58, and Reverend Warnock is her pastor. And so Park was the person who connected me directly with Warnock's campaign to get connected and get plugged in. And my role on the campaign, I served as strategic communications director, a large part of which was mobilizing constituency groups to vote for Reverend Warnock, Black people, AAPI folks, Latino people, and reaching them in mediums and telling stories that connected directly with them and their values. And I was really proud of the work that we did.
So well, we want to thank you because you all worked hard. Y'all worked us hard too, because we had to answer the phone and answer those texts at
Yes,
least 10 a day, 5
yes,
a day, every day. Did you vote?
absolutely.
Are you voted? Baby, I already voted. Are you voted? Did the person in your house vote? Did she vote yet? Yeah, baby, we but I want to say to all of those people, I want to say to you and to Stacey Abrams and to everybody, all of the foot soldiers, thank you so much, because what you all did paid off.
Yes.
I am so proud of the work that you all have done. It has been absolutely amazing. And I know you all are tired. I need y'all to get some rest, because y'all gonna have to do it all again come next year. No, come this year, right? Is it this year or next year?
I expect the campaign will have to ramp up relatively soon. Reverend Warnock will be back on the ballot in 2022. And so it's important that we stay engaged and keep everyone mobilized and ready to get this done again in 2022, after which he'll serve us for 6 years as our next senator.
You all did such an amazing job. So get you some rest, get you a couple of good meals in, and get back on it. And you know what? I complain or talk about, the 4 or 5 calls a day, but maybe some people needed that, to get them motivated to go vote. But I'm gonna vote. I don't care if it's up who gonna be dog catcher. I'm voting. I'm gonna vote. So, but for some people, that's not their mentality, and it's okay. I understand that. So I have to take the good with the bad. So to get those people to vote, honey, call me all day, every day. I'll just say yes. I've already voted. Thank you for your service.
And know that we get the same call that you do, even though we're working away. And so a lot of times, you pick up the phone and they ask, have you voted yet? And I just would tell them, I want to say thank you for what you're doing. I actually work for Reverend Warnock, and my ballot is in the mail, but I appreciate you making these calls. And know from the campaign, we say thank you. So whenever you get a call or a text from an organizer trying to check and see if you voted, just, thank them for doing their part.
Yes.
To protect our democracy and to get folks engaged.
Absolutely. Carla Clark says, we thank you for your service to our state, but especially for what you have done for our nation. Thank you. So now you also work for U.S. Representative Donald McEachin?
McEachin, yes.
McEachin from Virginia. So you were actually doing 2 jobs at one time.
I had 2 full-time jobs simultaneously in the middle of a pandemic and the crazy year that we have had. I don't know that I would choose to do that again, but at the same time, I didn't want to sit out this election cycle. So, I was willing to do whatever it took to help make history in my home state and to get the job done in the state of Georgia.
So how was it? I already know that I have a motto: others may and we may not. There are certain things that others can do that we cannot do, or we will be put in jail for doing. How hard was it for you to navigate that campaign with Reverend Warnock? First of all, he's a Black male. He's Democrat, trying to run for Senate for the entire state in our country. That, and as it states, he's the first Black man. So, and it's 2020, he's the first Black man. That's crazy. How difficult was it for you all to navigate that whole campaign, knowing that there were certain things that they just weren't going to let you do?
I think that we told a story that resonated with all Georgians. We focused on the issues facing our communities. Right now, Georgia's communities are trying to figure out virtual learning and how their kids are going to get through it, especially in parts of the state where they don't have rural broadband. You have folks worried about whether their parents are going to catch COVID, and if they do, will they be able to visit them in the hospital? We have rural hospitals closing all across the state. So there were real issues that our opponents weren't speaking to, and we held hope and believed in the character of our state and in Georgia values that if we spoke to the issues that were facing Georgians, that Georgians would respond. If we played a positive campaign and focused on, the kitchen table issues, that was what people were looking for. They weren't looking for more of the Kelly Loeffler style division. And Rev said frequently during the course of the campaign, and it's a quote that I enjoy repeating, that those who have no vision traffic in division. And I think so frequently that's what we see in our politics, and it was something that we purposely pushed back against.
One of the things that I found, one of your quotes that I thought was just awesome. You said that you believe in creating content that matters, and that sounds like what you were doing there. You were creating content that mattered to people, not what you were just focusing on the issues at hand. Worried about what are we going to do when we get COVID and there are no beds. You were worried about things that really, really mattered to the people. I think you were more concerned about people than you were a party or something else.
I think that's certainly an accurate summary of the route that we took.
Yeah. It was, and I have to say, the commercials were just as bad as the telephone calls. They just kept coming. But again, I understand why they had to keep coming, because you had to, it was almost like somebody would give something negative and you had to say, no, that's not really it. This is really it. This is the truth. And it was a constant keeping it, because, sometimes people have short attention spans, and, somebody else can come on and say something that's terribly wrong. And you have to go back and say, you know what, that's not right.
That's right. I think a large part of what you saw in this campaign was an attempt to redefine a man who had done a lot of good in, not just the city of Atlanta, but across the state and nation. And I think that it was very important to us that we not allow him to be redefined in a false light, that we destroyed this whole image of radical liberal, Raphael Warnock, and told his story, which was a quintessential Georgia story from someone who grew up in Caton Homes public housing in Savannah, who, through the help of low interest student loans and a Pell Grant, was able to graduate from Morehouse College, and had no clue that he'd one day end up behind MLK's pulpit. It was an American story. Whose grandma was a sharecropper and picked someone else's cotton, got to pick her son to be the next senator from the state.
That's amazing.
That's an American story. And I think so frequently when the right talks about what is America and who does America belong to, it purposely, that ideology omits those stories, but they matter. They deserve to be told.
Absolutely, without question. We're about a little over halfway. If you have any questions, if you would go ahead and post those so that we can get Raph to answer those, that would be great. Hello, Melanie and Lisa and Linda. Thank you all for joining tonight. So let's change gears a little bit, and we're just going to go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on right now. And I wonder if you have any thoughts about where we are as a country right now and what's going on in the political arena right now.
I think that what we're seeing is the result of being unable or unwilling as a nation to grapple with our history until an accurate recounting of where we've been. We find ourselves, in my opinion, rewriting the same stories and revisiting the same trails because we refuse to do the work to make, as Dr. King quoted from Isaiah, the rough places plain, the crooked places straight.
Come on and preach now. Come on.
We're in that gap. And I can say that this has been the scariest time for me in my 6 years of working to elect Democrats up and down the ballot. This year, I received death threats.
Wow.
My father was called to be fired. He's over absentee voting and early voting for Fulton County. The Stop the Steal folks published our addresses online. I was assaulted by a Trump supporter last Saturday. You name it, it happened. And so
now, were you in Washington on the 6th?
I was here in Atlanta, thank God. But when you see folks break into your place of work, when you see them ransack the people's house, are dangerous. While my colleagues were shoving office furniture in front of one of the doors in our office until Capitol Police cleared the area, and I'm on the phone with my member in the aftermath of what was supposed to be a day of celebration for me. That was sobering. It was sobering. And I don't know how we move forward from where we are in our national politic. I've done my best in the days since the elections and things were over to reach across the aisle and do my part towards rebuilding and finding unity. But it's really difficult. It's really difficult to rebuild when you have folks in the House who supported the actions of the terrorists.
Correct. Absolutely. But is it possible to build on a faulty foundation? First of all, I think we have to come to grips with there were slaves. You mistreated people, and you continue to mistreat people, Black and brown people. You continue to do that. There are laws that you've put in place just to hinder the progress of people, of certain people. There are rules that you have for some people that you don't have for other people. And I heard a former officer that was a cabinet member, a Black cabinet member, say that, I'm not quite sure that this was, they didn't call the National Guard because the people were white, but they did call the National Guard for the Black Lives Matter. How can you not say that? I don't understand that. You really thought that these people were going to come up here and sing Kumbaya as they waited on Trump to be reinstated? I don't understand it. To me, that's just clear as mud. It's clear.
It's funny, the stories that people tell themselves about this president and about this country. I believe that most of the people who visited the Capitol last week did so because they believed that something that was theirs, namely this country building, they felt like it was within their rights to do what they did. And I just think it speaks to years of people not being held accountable. And, even in the aftermath of those events, only 50 people, I think, were arrested. Meanwhile, on a single day in June, over 400 Black Lives Matter protesters were arrested. And so certainly there are double standards there. And I think that acknowledging those at least is the first step to doing something about them. And luckily for us, I can say that our incoming president, while I have very little faith in the current occupant of the White House, I was particularly moved when our soon-to-be president mentioned in his address that he was aware that if those were Black Lives Matter protesters, we would have handled that differently.
And that's the truth. That's the reality of the matter. It's just okay. How many times are we going to overlook this? When are we going to talk about this and get it out in the open? Everybody knows that it's true. It's unbelievable to me. Okay, let me get off my horse. A question is, how do you find the words in the face of this level of adversity? Writing is my safe space, and you've noted multiple violations based on your comments and convictions. Where does your courage come from?
Oh, that's a good question.
It sure is.
I have been so fortunate that in many ways I feel like I have lived the American dream, and I am aware that that is not the reality for every person that looks like me, or even folks that don't. And so my work is always about widening the circle, expanding the tent. My vision of America is one where we all fit inside, and I think it's easy to fight for your rights. It takes courage to fight for someone else. And every day going to the Capitol, from fighting against unjust immigration law to statements about Black Lives Matter, I've been really fortunate to have a voice and to be able to put into words the experiences of Black and brown people and LGBTQ people across the country, and to give voice to that in the greatest deliberative body in the world. So knowing that this opportunity that I've had is special and it's unique, certainly has helped me forward. And knowing that when I'm speaking, I'm not just speaking for me, speaking for those who don't have a voice and speaking for all of those who came before.
Wow, that's amazing. Again, the wisdom that comes out of your mouth, you're too young to have that much wisdom. I can't believe it. Wow.
That's why you have old parents and grow up with your grandparents,
I bet your mama don't want you to say she's your old parent. But let me okay. Yeah. Let me ask you this before we leave, Reverend Warnock. How hard was it to get a Black elected official to Congress?
I'm not going to say that it wasn't difficult. I will first of all give a shout out to all of the Black voters who came out in oversized numbers to get us over the hump. Our victory would not be possible without them. We had a concerted focus on reaching low propensity Black voters, especially folks who maybe haven't voted in years because no one has asked them to. And we wanted to make a point to ask every single Georgian for their vote. And so we did that largely with the support of a number of surrogates and a number of entertainers, folks who were major influencers, getting them to tell true to life narratives about how this election would affect them and galvanizing their followers. And I was really, really proud to see the way the campaign was not afraid to engage anyone or go anywhere. We worked with folks from profiles like Portia Williams from The Real Housewives to a no holds barred roundtable with Common and T.I. and Killer Mike and Jermaine Dupri, where things got a little heated, and we engage actresses and singers and electeds and intellectuals and thinkers and anyone who we thought might have a platform that could get someone out to vote. Our answer was yes. Let's make it happen. This victory meant a lot more with the kind of attacks that we were facing from the National Republican Senatorial Committee. They had dog whistles that might as well have been blowhorns. Like, we saw attacks that weren't just attacks on Warnock, but attacks on the church, on the Black community, on the Black prophetic tradition. And so I think what we saw was Black people across the state really saying, you've gone a little too far, and making their voices heard in the way that mattered, responding to a lot of false attacks and bad faith attacks with marching on the voting booth. And when I think about the Warnock victory, I think of all of those who made what we did possible, knowing that there were generations past that weren't even able to vote in this state. Knowing that there were thousands of years of prayers of people who couldn't have imagined this moment, knowing that for years there was a planting in this state of Black people who tilled the soil with sweat and with tears and with blood, not knowing that years later, hundreds of years later, we would see the harvest of their promise. That even in the former slave state of Georgia, the Black son of Savannah to the U.S. Senate. So, I think that we have to remember all those who came before, and especially the Black voters and the historic coalition we put together, because they did the work of getting to the voting booth.
Yes. So there's a question that says, what is one work or campaign moment that you are most proud of?
Oh, gosh. On a lighter note, another large part of the reason why I'm doing this work today is in 2014, maybe 2015, I saw an episode of Scandal. It was season 3, episode 1, or maybe it was the season 3 finale. It was when they find out that she was with the president. And anyway, because of Scandal and binge watching the first 3 seasons, I got a sense that, maybe I could do this work. That was where the idea was first planted in my head. And so on the Warnock campaign, I had the honor of meeting Miss Kerry Washington, who originated the role of Olivia Pope, and getting to tell her just what her representation on the big screen meant, not just to me, but to an entire generation of young Black political operatives who all, they won't put it on their resume, but the second you mention that Olivia Pope inspired you to do this work, they go, same. And so I got to give her flowers while she was with us, which that was nice.
Oh man, that's great. That's great. You all go ahead and put your questions up. We're winding down. This has been a fantastic conversation. If you are joining with us late, you need to know that this is Ralph Jones Jr., a mover and a shaker in the political arena. He's a communication specialist. Have you ever, Ralph, thought about running for office yourself?
I get that question more often than you think. The answer for now is no. I would not run for office unless I thought that there was something more that I could offer. than I could right now working behind the scenes. And for now, I feel like I'm making an impact, and that's, the crux of what I hope to do.
Well, somebody said, commenting on Olivia Pope, they said, me too. Danielle said, that's when I thought I wanted to go into political communications. Same.
Oh yeah, see, all of us. You can ask any young political operative, what does Olivia Pope mean to you? They'll give you a dissertation.
So, well, what about opening your own PR firm or your own communication firm? What about that?
I've thought about that. Like I mentioned, I was a consultant prior to coming to work for the city of Atlanta. And I would argue that a lot of the work that I do, the style that I do it in, is still in that style. Especially this campaign cycle, working the Warnock race and working in the U.S. House office full time. It's possible. I say the sky is the limit and everything's on the table. So y'all have to stay tuned.
All right. Yes. The sky is the limit and everything is on the table. I like that. We need to write that and pin that. Wow. Wow. So let me ask you, as we wind up, how has it been working in Congress, working in Washington, D.C.? Did you experience any racism there or any biases there?
No, I was really fortunate when I was in DC to be surrounded by colleagues who championed me and to work for one of a handful of Black women chief of staff on the Hill. My chief of staff has Atlanta roots and Florida A&M roots. And so really, really fortunate to work under her, to work for a Black member of Congress. I was grateful to have that experience. I will say that the Hill is an imposing place to walk through as a Black man, knowing that it was a place that was not built with you in mind, and that was built specifically for you to be kept out. Like they still have the Supreme Court chambers that used to be located in the Capitol building, where decisions like Dred Scott came down, and knowing like the gravity of that room. But to the architect of the Capitol's credit, they have also been more intentional about telling a more complete American story. And so they have left things in place like imperfections or chip marks in the pillars in the Capitol Rotunda, where the slaves built those pillars, the enslaved folks who built the Capitol, so that, even in that, our stories are there too. And with what we saw this summer, quite a few states, including our own, have elected to remove their Confederate leaders from National Statutory Hall and are sending Black people to replace them, like John Lewis, who is representing the state of Georgia. Rosa Parks is now representing the state of Alabama. In Virginia, we've got Barbara Johns, who replaced Robert E. Lee. And so, the moral arc is long, but it's moving towards justice, and we're going to get there by and by.
Wow. So I asked you this question before we came on the air about writing a book. Tell me your response so that they can hear when we talked a little bit about you writing a book about your experiences.
One day I will transition away from working in politics. And when that day comes, I hope to do a little more writing of my own. I've done a bit of essay writing over at ralphmays.com. If you wanted to check some of that out, there's some poetry over there as well. In the future, some things that I look forward to when I have the time. I'd like to potentially pen a memoir, and my lofty dream would be to create a new publication to tell stories of the South and to really speak to Southern culture and Southern news. And I'd like that to be called The New South, in a tongue-in-cheek reference to Grady. I don't know if you all know Henry Grady, but he was a legendary editor of the Atlanta Constitution, a statesman. He was also an unabashed racist. And after the Civil War, he went up to New York and gave this famous speech where he said there was a South of slavery and secession, that South is dead. And he was talking about new ways to subjugate Black and brown people to keep the economic engine going. But I challenge that the South will rise again, not on a wave of hateful dog whistled rhetoric, but lifted by the determination of people of color, of queer people, of the underresourced folks and the overworked. And so in that way, I would love to write about how the South, like the phoenix claimed by its capital, the city of Atlanta, will rise again, and has already risen. And I think last week we can truly say that it is a beautiful day and we're on our way.
Much applause to you. Thank you so much. Danielle says, you write beautifully and it brings people in. Your website is a safe, welcoming space. Tell people how they can get in touch with you, or your Facebook contact, anything you want to share in case they need a speaker or an encourager.
Absolutely. You can find my writing at ralphmays.com, RALPHMAYS.com. I am Ralph Mays _ on all social media. And my email address is hello@ralphmays.com. Looking forward to chatting with you all soon.
Wow, this has been an absolutely amazing conversation. Again, thank you so much for sharing with us today. Thank you for being my guest, for coming in and just speaking truth and wisdom. I say, Donald said he's so proud of you. Many blessings to you. I'll pray for your safety and the safety of your family. I pray for all that you endeavor to do in the days to come. I pray that the Lord will surround you with godly men and women that will speak wisdom to you. I pray for even the days ahead as you make decisions about your future and the sky being the limit and everything is on the table. I pray that He'll point out to you what you need to do that's on the table and what you need to throw off of the table. I just believe that God is going to surround you and bless you tremendously because your heart is pure and you want what's best. I think you want what He wants. He wants justice for all. He wants people to be free. He wants us to live together as one. So I'm just honored to know you, and I wish nothing but the best for you in all that you do. I just pray that you'll be guided in the right direction.
Thank you. I received all of that.
Good. So
our promises, we say yes and amen.
And amen. Yes and amen. You want to give any final thoughts before we close out?
No, but thank you all so much for joining us, and God bless you all. Thanks for taking some time with us today.
All right. Well, we're going to go do some backroom talk. And I want to say to all of you, thank you for joining us tonight. And if you are coming back on the replay, make sure you let me know that how much you enjoyed it or you didn't enjoy it. But I can't see how you're not going to enjoy it because it's so good. But anyway, I'll see you on Monday as we talk about talking to our children about where we are as a country. So join us. It will be Carla Clark, who's an assistant principal at a school in Gwinnett, and then it will be myself, and I'll be talking from the hat of the social worker. So we're going to be on at 2:00. So make sure you join us on Facebook. You all have a fantastic week. Stay safe. Wear your mask and keep people out of your face. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye, everyone.